Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 154.
154. Wow.
Technical difficulty free,
Potentially. Why do you have to
maybe?
jinx it? Yeah. It was the
Cool.
weird Discord version, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I'm glad we got it
Oh yeah,
fixed.
stream title. Wow, shit. Chat is on it,
Oh
dude.
my
Chat
gosh.
is
Thanks.
on it.
I'm glad somebody can help this guy. You know, it's like we've never done this before. This is the first episode, guys. Bear
Welcome.
with us to the new meta. Episode
Yeah.
1.
So what's going on, dude? What have you been doing lately? How's life?
Life has it's been good, man. I can't complain too much. Been, trying to get a job.
That
Got
blows.
some interviews going on. Yeah, it does blow. No, I got some things in the work, man, that are starting to pan out. I think it's pretty dope. And I had a lot of birthday parties this week. My kids have birthdays 2 days apart, so
Oh damn.
that's cool.
How old
Yeah.
now?
15 for one and 11 for the other.
Damn.
So, yeah. I got a good story about the 15-year-old. We'll tell that later on.
Oh,
the
okay.
pod, though.
Is that the
Yeah, yeah.
PChild loves?
Yeah, it's the love section.
Okay.
You know?
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it was pretty interesting. What
Very
about you,
nice.
man? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, like we decided to not do the apps at all, and just been, getting out there and getting
Yeah.
after it, Made
Okay.
some new friends. I actually had a
Made-
fucking great weekend, and
You had a lady friend, great weekend?
no, just a good weekend, just like good peeps.
What made the weekend so good?
I mean, just met like a really nice group of people and made a new friend. Then we just kind of sparked it off.
A group of people?
Yeah,
Damn.
dude. Oh yeah,
how
I'm
you
into
roll
some
that.
wild shit now.
Whoa, buddy.
No.
We stepped it up.
No.
I like where you're going.
And
No,
you
that's
know what?
cool,
There's
man.
some there's a lot of closure this weekend on the whole, ex-girlfriend sitch, and
Good.
that was really good.
That feels good.
Oh my god, yes, it feels great. There's just a lot of weight. It's just,
Mhm.
so that's always good. So
Awesome.
feeling fucking great.
Well, luckily we're doing the episode on Thursday because we got things to talk about.
Yeah, things happened. I don't know if you guys know. Actually, we're in the Path of Exile directory still. Might as well stay here because that's the majority of the podcast today. The announcement for the new PvE League happened today, but we're going to get into that in a bit. But I'm excited. I know you're excited. I know that this is the day you look forward to the most every week.
Yeah. I have a lot of coffee. My thermos is full.
Wow.
I'm not going to fall asleep on you.
I'm proud of you.
And my eyes will only gloss over a little bit when you start nerding out on what kind of poison build you can make to sleep.
It's honestly, it's interesting that you still have that like kind of casual PoE perspective, because I think actually there'll be things within this, like things we're going to talk about that appeal to you, or not necessarily appeal to you, but like they could hurt you, or I'm curious to see your stance on some of this stuff, because
I did watch the short trailer. I didn't watch the 45-minute deep dive, where they go into stuff, but I did watch the trailer, and there actually are things about the trailer that I'm excited about, which we'll talk. I thought that PoE's trailers almost always look decent, though. I don't think I've seen one and been like, yo, that looks
the trailer
horrible.
Person's good. They made Heist look good, like wow.
Their marketing team does a good job, and this trailer was no exception. I was like, damn, dude, that looks pretty good. It looks fun. So
agreed. I watched the whole thing. I will say I'm not like, usually I watch the whole thing like during the day while I'm at work, and then like I'll watch like the what's it called, the Q&A, and then I'll watch like the podcast that happens afterwards, and you get all these like little just tidbits of information that are really kind of juicy. But I didn't get to do that today, so I just watched the elongated one, and I know enough, but I definitely feel underprepared. But yeah, so the new meta podcast question of the week from last week, pull it up on the screen, was, if Lost Ark releases, and the reason we bring this up, because if you guys didn't know, still, Lost Ark did get announced for NA. It's happening. Poggers fall, quote unquote fall of this year. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very pay to win in Korea. Or I shouldn't say pay to win. It's like pay to advance really fast. And it definitely appears like that might be the case based on we did a kind of a little dive into what comes with like the the platinum package of Lost Ark, which I did purchase. I'm not gonna lie.
You did?
I did.
You did it, huh?
Because it's a good game and I'm willing to support it. It's fingers crossed, right?
Big spender. Listen, I'm not mad at you, man.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you.
I mean, I've been talking this game up for like 7 years as well. I don't know.
Right. I've been talking it up since high school. So let's go.
So there's that, and there's some red flags in those starter packs, and the 3-day head start, and some of the stuff that comes with it, and blah blah blah. And then there's that tweet that we went into last week of they said won't be anything you have to buy, blah blah blah, but it's just kind of PR language, so we'll see. But yeah, and so the question is, if Lost Ark releases and it's free to play but pay to win, will you play still? Option 1, yes. That combat though. Option 2, hell no. I'll pop this in chat because there's 1 hour, less than an hour left on this. So you guys can vote one last time if you want. Maybe wrong keyword. Classic. Boom. Go vote.
Boom. There it is. It's interesting the results on that
split. Very split.
Yeah.
43% of the vote currently, as chat continues to vote, says yes. That combat though, 56% says hell no.
Yeah,
still a good portion of players are going to try it out.
Yeah, you should still play it. That's my opinion.
It's free.
Still check it out.
It's going to be free.
Do it.
Yeah. I think that people should say it's a total shit show of pay to win mess. If you're an ARPG fan, I would still encourage you to play it and try it, because it will. Maybe not. Maybe I won't encourage you to play or try it, because it will forever break how you feel combat should feel in an isometric ARPG.
Yeah, and I wonder if people are going to feel differently than us about that, because you and I both align on that, and think it's so fun. I wonder if there's going to be guys that are like, "Oh, this sucks. This combat's horrible."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because they just suck at games and they can't figure it out. You know what I mean? Like they can't press buttons in the correct order, or figure out combos. But it's good, man. Like the pay to win thing is so scary, but it's such a good game. I hope they don't Amazon don't fuck this up.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because one of the things that Path of Exile did today was kind of announce the BR, which we'll talk about a bit later. And like Lost Ark PvP is so good, and that timing that we're talking about of skills, that like MOBA action combat feel works really well in that formula. And we're kind of getting a glimpse of Path of Exile's BR, which is fucking fantastic, and something we've been hyping up, right? Like BRs and isometric RPGs. I feel like that's like peas and carrots.
That's because they watch the podcast. They're like, "Yo,
probably,
you guys listen
of course." Every good idea for any ARPG is us, literally us,
guaranteed.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation. It's something that people should definitely visit, and hopefully, like we can cry to Path of Exile to get. I mean, I think Path of Exile 2 is shaping up to be more Lost Ark-esque for sure. I think the Diablo 4 is unfortunately like going all in the D3 category.
You think Path of Exile 2 is shaping up to be more Lost Ark-esque in combat?
Yeah,
play?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting.
Based on the PoE
that's good
trailer and stuff like that. Yeah, the dream. Anyway,
that's the dream, dude. Like Lost Ark combat was legit so fun.
I know, man.
It was so fun. I still am kind of like, if I still had VPN service to Russia, I'd still probably be like, all right, let's go fire it on. Let's go throw it on.
Yeah, dude.
So
I mean, if Lost Ark and PoE had a baby, I would be obese, out of a job, and homeless. But I'd have a computer and internet.
Right? You'd be like, Mom, can I come? Can I come stay?
I probably would. No cap. Actually, they had the worst internet ever. Oh, I could go live at their cabin.
The lake house. You just stay at the lake house 24/7.
Hell yeah, dude.
You stay in that little trailer at the top. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude.
It's just yours.
Yeah.
Listen, man, that's not a bad idea.
No.
So.
And you could visit more often. We'd be closer.
You could be like, you could invite the ladies. Like, you want to come to my lake house? And you wouldn't be lying, technically.
Yeah, not at all. Go out on my boat, and that's not a lie. So.
What do we got for this week?
Yeah, so this week, which we haven't published yet, and this is very topical, and something we're going to get into in just a second as well. But so we know for sure at this point that Path of Exile and D3 dates are fucking lining up yet again. Next Friday, the 23rd. So for the second time, at least in the history that I can remember of being diligent about both games, once a year it seems to happen, which is crazy. So yeah, they're lining up for sure. And then there's hint and speculation and some insider info that Lost Ark also might have a potential alpha next weekend as well. So we could have a three-way.
That's dumb. Like they better not, dude. They better absolutely flip. Like you could delay the alpha. It's not even announced yet. Like push it back a weekend. Like you cannot launch that on the same weekend as PoE and D3.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty.
That's horrible. Yeah, so vote on that, guys. Which one would you play? I mean, we already know D3 and PoE are lining up, but if Lost Ark is in the mix too, what are you gonna jump on? So I can't lie, man. Like Lost Ark would be hard not to jump into,
I mean, I'm with you, but at the same time, we'll wait. We don't want to scuff the poll.
Brutal, man.
The poll, yeah. So let's see. Let me actually open up schedule on this computer, super quick. Yeah. So first up, the one thing that we always say before a season starts, right? And last season, we didn't really get the announcement in time, and I think some people probably paid the price. But do not chat. Well, you're the Challenge Drift expert here, right? So is it Sunday reset or is it Monday?
No, Monday. Monday at 4 p.m. Central. It's what's that? 2 p.m. on the West Coast.
Yeah.
5 p.m. on the East Coast. It resets Challenge Drift. So Monday. So after this Monday, do not do your Challenge Drift for next Friday's thing. Yeah. Don't be me and screw it up like last season. I was making the video guide and accidentally and killed him.
Yeah, don't do that to us again, please.
Yeah. My port out game was not on point. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, so save your Challenge Drift next week, team. If you're planning on playing the Diablo 3 season start, definitely do not do it. But watch PChild's guide on how to do it if you're having difficulty. So,
yep.
So
post one in a while. I'll get one up for this Challenge Drift though.
Well, never mind. Fuck you. Watch Rax's challenge. All right.
Toxic. All right. Well, podcast is over.
So next, again, so we're gonna go into the subject because it hits really close to home for me as somebody that loves both games. Still, dates line up. How do you feel about it? What are you intrigued to play? What's your plan?
So, I'm gonna pick D3 over PoE personally, but I still think it sucks regardless because I know a lot of community members love PoE. And if there was any chance of me jumping in PoE and getting in on the hype, at least for the first weekend or something, like I can't do it now. I'm like, well, I don't want to go in a league late. I mean, like, I don't know why, but that mentality is still, you're like, I don't want to do it. I've already missed the launch window. And it's kind of silly to feel that way. Like you honestly shouldn't.
Right.
But yeah, man, I think it's horrible. I think it's horrible timing. I'm sure that it wasn't planned by anybody. I'm sure neither of the companies likes it,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I know that both companies probably have a schedule they need to adhere to, and this just happened to happen again. We had a good pacing there for a while where they were at least 2 weeks apart. And then it seemed like we were kind of maybe going to get the dream because Diablo kept delaying, right? We were maybe going to get the dream of like a month and a half of PoE and a month and a half of Diablo. And they'd be like perfectly off balance and we could play both. But it seems like now they've aligned again and so we're screwed.
Yeah, I got to imagine like GGG obviously will move their dates. Like they moved their dates for Cyberpunk launch because they're like, Cyberpunk's going to eat up the gaming world for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever. Move our launch. Obviously they don't feel the same about a Diablo season, but I got to imagine that on the Diablo side, Diablo has to launch within Windows on other games. Like Blizzard's got this huge library, and they're not going to want to fight themselves. They're not going to want to pick off their own games. So I would imagine that the D3 launches are probably planned pretty far in advance and are less able to move, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It just kind of sucks.
It does suck.
It's bad. So, and then
But
if Lost Ark drops the same weekend too, it's just like, damn,
I
dude.
know, man,
Are
it's
you
a lot.
serious right now?
That'd be
like,
insane. Imagine we get to that point, right? Where, Lost Ark is out. And like to say, I mean, Lost Ark does like big patches, like, probably quarterly at least, if not semi-annually. But yeah, like imagine we get to that point. It's like a new PoE league, a new Diablo 3 league, and then the new like whatever patch for Lost Ark. That'd be tough if it all came on the same day. Imagine, because we know that Diablo 4 is going to have that season. I mean, I don't know if we know 100% for sure, but probably it's going to have seasons.
It's got to have some kind of cadence.
Yeah.
It's got to have some kind of release cadence. You know what I mean?
And it makes sense that like, so, Path of Exile and Diablo 3 are their cadences, like 4 seasons a year. So I wonder if like the play is, I don't know, like should Diablo 4 have like 4-month seasons or like 2-month seasons or something? Like how can we break the cadence forever? Like, because I would think it's advantageous to like both companies to not infringe on each other's dates.
I think PoE can kind of do what they want right now.
Sure, of course.
Because they lead. They're the ARPG.
Right.
But I think once D4 comes out, I think that Blizzard will have the mindset of F you, we're the biggest. We're going to do what we do.
Yeah.
And GGG will probably be smarter and be like, well, we care about money, so we're going to time these up around the releases. If Blizzard happens to announce one first, then they'll switch it up.
Right.
But yeah, man, I don't know. You got to imagine that 3-month seasons make sense. Like if you're not getting content in Diablo 4 every 3 months, then that sucks.
Yeah.
6 months is a long time to go without content, man.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
It's a long time. So
for sure.
They just did that in World of Warcraft. They did a 6-month stint, or was it 9 months? A 9-month stint with no content.
You tell me.
It's horrible. It's like, even a game that's got so much to do, you're just like, well, this sucks.
So what is okay? So you're in that world, the MMO world. What is this new like passion or like whatever just blow up around Final Fantasy 14? Why is everyone playing Final Fantasy 14?
Because Asmon played it. Well, so to be honest, Final Fantasy 14 has been a really good game for a long time from everybody that I've known that's plays it. Like I know people that have played it. I know people who have a lot of MMO experience that I value their opinions, and they've played it. And it's different from WoW. It's not WoW. It's a different style MMO, but it's very good from what I understand. And it started getting traction because people were like, "Yeah, dude, this is good. You should check it out." This last couple expansions have been right on point. And so people have been checking it out. It's been good. But then with the content drought of World of Warcraft, and then, people actually hating the direction that WoW's going in. It's not even a content drought. It's like people went from like, oh, you can fix Diablo, you can fix WoW. It's okay. You can fix it. This is what you need to do. So like their mindset changed to these devs have no idea what they're doing and they ruined the game. It's done. Like let's go find something else. And that's kind of been the mentality. So, and then Asmon jumped on it, which with his reach, it's been, he's just got so much influence that people are checking it out. And, it looks like it's a fabulous game. I'm scared to play it because I'm afraid I'll like it. Like the honest to God truth is I'm afraid I'll like it. And I don't have time to fit another MMO into my life.
Yeah. I remember I tried because they do like the trial thing. I remember trying it because like someone I was friends with like was trying it again like 6 months ago or something like that. So like got in and tried it for a bit. It was just like, man, like it was overwhelming in like the least exciting way possible. Like I don't mind jumping to PoE and I look at the skill tree. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot. And there's like a whole bunch of shit and activities to do, but I'm having fun. And Final Fantasy 14, I was just like walking around town, like talking to people, and there's a bunch of cutscenes.
Yeah,
and,
I think a lot of people complain that the questing portion from like beginner level to max level is boring and monotonous. And I think they do it's a Final Fantasy game, so they're gonna focus on the storytelling part of it and more than that. And so if that doesn't appeal to a lot of people, but like what I've been told is that once you get to endgame, it's actually a fun grind, and the dungeons and raids and shit are awesome. And you just got to get over the hump of leveling. And some people like the leveling, some people don't. But regardless, once you get over that hump, it gets really, really good.
I do really enjoy. I've always really enjoyed the idea of being able to like switch classes on the same character and like gear out, level out, like basically all of them if you really wanted to. And so you could just go like big dick on one character and have just like a god tier, like, oh, I'll just switch. And oh, by the way, I'm like the best at everything. So
yeah. Like, oh, you guys need heals? Got it.
Yeah.
You need tank? Got it. Oh, you need pumper DPS? Got it.
Totally.
You know?
And imagine like being in like a, I don't even know how it works, but like a raid and like there's like a insane piece of healer gear that like nobody needs. It's like, well, yoink. Like, you know, like I can use that for my white mage or whatever the fuck they call it in that game.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it. I like I said, man, someday I'm sure I'll jump into it. But I just don't have time for WoW and that in my life. So I'm actively avoiding it because I'm afraid I'll like it and then I'll abandon WoW. You know?
Yeah. It's wild to think about too, because someone just said, you know, like, oh, Realm Reborn's tough to get through. And it reminds me, because like Final Fantasy 14 when it came out was a fucking shit show. It was a total mess. And then they took it off, right? They took it down and then they did like a Realm Reborn thing.
Yep.
And now look at it. It's like, you know, top 2.
It's banging now. Yeah.
Which is crazy. You know, maybe 10 years from now, we'll all be playing Wilson.
Yeah. Oh shit. I knew there was some way to sneak Wilson in this. No, that's horrible, man. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
It could. You know? Listen, it could happen.
Yeah. It could be.
Stranger things have happened.
It could be. Yeah.
We'll see.
So,
but I wanted to bring up, because we're on the subject of, you know, D3 season start. You know, Monk starts with the Julianas, which does not get a rework. Demon Hunter starts with Natalia's, which Sag still has not gotten a rework.
No.
Crusader Seeker of the Lights is still kind of the same. Wizard Veers, pretty decent.
That's a big negative. Ghost Rider.
But it's still in an okay state. Barbarian, Immortal King's Call, Omega Lol, Witch Doctor, Spirit of Arakir. Cool.
What is that class? I don't. What?
And Necromancer, Tragul's Avatar. So it's kind of like the season of bad sets.
Start.
Yeah.
These are bad. If I had to pick one of the sets on that list that I think is the strongest, I would probably say the Veers.
Yeah.
Veers is the best, followed by Immortal Kings, I guess. Immortal Kings.
I don't know,
man.
Yeah.
They're all bad. They're all bad, though.
They're all bad.
Like, they're all bad.
These are the bad sets. So. But, you know, ethereals. So, I mean, for Necro, I can't speak to all the classes. Necro, this will be season of LOD 100%. So, it doesn't even matter what the starting set is.
Yeah.
So, I guess, okay, so say, you know, next Friday, right?
When's the part where we get to the prediction of what your game you're going to play?
That should have been the poll. Like, what is Fluff gonna play?
Are we safe? Well, that's a horrible poll. Everybody knows the answer. Are we gonna talk about it now? Or are we saving it?
I mean, we can talk about it now.
Okay,
chat. Well, let's do a quick scan of Twitch chat, right? So Twitch chat, if you had to guess, what is Fluff gonna play next Friday? Okay, so PChild, you know you're playing D3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying Pee-wee. Terraria. Pee-wee. Terraria. D300. Okay.
You trying to throw everybody off, have everybody say PoE, and then you're gonna pull the D3?
Okay, so I think, and hear me out, chat. Don't freak out. I think that the smartest play is to start D3, because the last 2 seasons of PoE, the first day has been pretty bad to play. Pretty bad. Like last week, it was unfucking playable.
They got that fixed, that database issue. They're on it.
Okay, and then hear me out, chat. We're starting hardcore this time in D3. Hardcore. Okay. So we go until we die.
Okay,
Easy.
so what are we doing? So season drops at 7 p.m. Central. So what are we doing at 7:15 then? When we die, like, are we switching to PoE at 7:15?
Listen, you go and as long as you want, right? I'm going until I die. If one of us dies while leveling, we'll just like try to get back in, and it's gonna suck. But we got this. I'm gonna get rank 1 Necro. Go until we die. This is the right. This is the play.
This is the way. This is what we do, huh?
This is what we do. And then when we die, we'll just play some PoEs. If we die. Necro hardcore. What could go wrong? I mean, it's the tankiest class in the game, first of all.
Yeah.
And
that's gonna make me put a little bit of extra research into the class I play now. You know what I mean? Like, I was debating what I wanted to rock, but man, we're going hardcore. Is it like Crusader all the way?
Maybe.
Is it Crusader play or Witch Doctor?
With Ethereals?
I've leveled a Witch Doctor in hardcore a bunch of times. Unfortunately, it's actually pretty easy. Yeah,
that's the plan. That's the plan right now. We have to find 2 other hardcore players, though.
2 hardcores? Okay.
And that's obviously on me because I have a huge... No, I need you to find 2 other players.
I don't play Diablo anymore either, man. Have you seen my channel?
Dude, we need 2 hardcore players.
Yeah, we need 2 hardcores. Applications can be filled out and submitted.
I won't die on purpose. Don't even plant that seed. We're not going to die on purpose. Yeah, Poison Scythe is the play. It's very tanky, but we have to get to the point where we can play Poison Scythe, and so there's going to be a while I'm squishy. I'm going to be super squishy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you just don't crank it up super high if you're actually trying to live.
Yeah.
We don't jump up to Torment 6 when we get our weapons and shit.
Maybe one of us will get Ethereal and just hard carry.
Yeah, that could be too. I'm sure it won't be me. I have the worst drop luck ever.
Oh, Mugamama and Murda, do they play hardcore? There's a group.
Yeah.
Get on it.
There it is.
Organize it.
All right, we'll see. We'll reach out to some people. Let's see what we got.
Okay. But yeah, that's the current play, I think. We'll see. And I'm pissed if PoE launch goes like silky smooth as butter.
Well, they've had 2 shitty ones, and I think this last one was like a really we've lost a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had paid streamers, they had just server issues, people freaking out. So I think this one, I would bet money this one goes smooth, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I hope for them.
PoE launches a couple hours earlier than D3 too.
True. I might dabble and then switch. We'll see.
Yeah. Then stand me up.
I do have to leave work early to play the PoE League though, so maybe I don't want to do that.
PoE's launch is really smooth, so I'm gonna keep playing that. Good luck, bud.
Yeah. We'll go down to Brutus and the new hardcore, which we'll get into.
So let's talk about this PoE stuff then. Let's get into the juice.
Yeah. So if you guys have been living on a rock, which I was for most of the day, the Path of Exile announcement stream happened today on Twitch, and it was pretty dope. So they're calling this one Path of Exile Expedition. Yeah. And so I'm just going to kind of like play the video in the background as we're talking. So the new league mechanic is basically like, you know what I'm noticing? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Because I keep expecting.
This is like Ritual again.
Yeah, because Heist was quite different and it ended up sucking. But it was very like different as far as league mechanics go, it seemed like. And this one's like, so there's like these skulls on the ground, and then you get like sticks of, skull dynamite, I guess.
Yeah, so let's talk about first. So I only watched the short trailer. So I'm assuming as you're running around, you're going to see these sticks in the ground in the maps.
Yeah, it's right? the league mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to see that. And I don't think it takes you anywhere else. I assume you just like blow up the dynamite, and then it's going to start the thing. So it's like Ritual. Like you're running around, there's the Ritual, you click it, and it starts.
Well, it's like most league mechanics. It's in the map, and it's something you do right there and then.
You start the thing. It doesn't take you anywhere. It's just like...
Even like Blight doesn't take you until you get a blighted map. And this is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you get like sticks of dynamite, and then these like little glowy things on the ground here are like indicators of what's going to happen if you decide to place a piece of dynamite in that area. So there's like the skulls, they're like monsters. The little things with the treasure chest means like a treasure chest is going to spawn there if you blow up that area. And then it gets more complicated later on. There's like certain modifiers where if you like lay a piece of dynamite here, that means like monsters will get impaled and blah, blah, blah. And so everything that blows up, every monster that's unlocked after this is blown up will have these new modifiers. And so they get, progressively more difficult and, more rewarding, as Path of Exile tends to say, which, at this point is like, whatever, dude. Honestly, anyways, but so yeah, and so it's supposed to progressively get harder as you get these modifiers, and then more rewards, blah blah blah, right? And so that's kind of how it works in a nutshell. And then as you do it, and for finishing it, you get like currency shards, which is more clicky, which is great.
Right.
And these currency shards are used at these special vendors, of which there are, I think, 4 new vendors.
4, yeah. Yep.
So we got Quinn here. That's his specialty, I guess, is what is his? Oh yeah, so you barter with him. So if he shows you stuff and you're like, ooh, I really want that necklace. Oh, but he wants like 500 shards for it, and I only have 300. Let's see if I can get him down to like 200, 250. And you can piss him off, and he's like, no, fuck you, the item's gone. Or he'll be like, I see that offer, but what about 300, right? Like, whatever. Yeah. And so you can barter with him and like gamble and potentially lose, what it is that's in his little inventory space. So
is it ironic that they make Quinn a little short, bald guy with legs? Just saying.
I mean, honestly, there is some similarities.
There is some resemblance, don't you think?
Because like when he did, the video of him circulating, like when he like tried to like blog the first time, and it's like the cringiest video you'll ever see ever on the internet. It kind of looks like that face. Not gonna lie. But yeah. So because for me, what the reason this last league didn't hit is harvest removal and harvest nerf, and the deterministic aspect of PoE kind of like disappeared. So I'm hoping that these vendors maybe reintroduces some, I don't know, like better way of achieving items than just like running maps and crossing your fingers. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, so that's vendor 1, and the second guy is SVan, and he is offering. What is he? Oh yeah, like you buy an item from him, a base type, and then you can like take it for the price, or you can have him upgrade it, and it's basically like adding another suffix or prefix. And I don't know why you'd want to do it through him versus crafting it yourself, or if it's better to do it through him, or I don't understand this exactly, because like this is basically crafting in PoE already. I guess it's just like saving you Exalted Orb. I mean,
yeah, or it's super targeted. I don't know. Maybe it's the easier way to target. I don't know.
And I don't know if this is like smart, or if it's like it's just total RNG. I don't really understand the system in depth, but it's interesting. Because I do think PoE crafting is fantastic, and I love slamming stuff, and so this is just like an easier way of slamming things. Great, but you can't like put items into his inventory, so there is that. So he still has to have like good base items that you would want to slam with his own slam system. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. So that's vendor 2. What are you thinking about this so far? Like before I keep rambling on.
It's so the league mechanic looks okay-ish. To somebody who has limited PoE experience, it looks okay. I'm kind of indifferent. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like, oh my god, I really want to play this.
Right.
You know what I mean? From what I've seen so far. So.
Okay, and now, so vendor 3, this is going to look very familiar, and there's a lot of things, and I want to bring this up real quick. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be like, that looks familiar. That looks familiar with this league in particular. I think they're doing a definite throwback to Diablo 2 for this league, and you'll see why in some of these clips. But so this is the third vendor, and you purchase the base type, and it gives you like a random that base type. So it's essentially Kadala.
Right.
So this is
gamble.
Yeah, it's a blood charge. This is a little blood charge. Yeah. Or whatever that guy's name is in D2. It's been way too long. But yeah, and so this is that vendor, which I'm all for in PoE. It sounds cool in theory, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just like more random chances to get a base type of something that actually rolls well, which is like, not that exciting in Path of Exile because you just get so much bad shit. So I don't know if this is smart loot, but on the surface, like, oh, well, you can't fail with like gambling. But then when I think about it, it's like, well, like you're probably going to gamble all league and never see anything worth your while.
Right.
And that,
yeah, it depends. It depends on it depends on how good the stuff is you get, if it's worth it.
Right.
Know? And then it depends on how good the stuff is for somebody who's not experienced in PoE, and as how good it is too, because there's going to be people that understand how to abuse the system and craft an item they get into something they want, versus somebody like me that's going to be like, oh, I got this thing, I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
You're just trying to follow somebody's guide on doing it. So yeah. I don't know what type this appeals to. Is this gonna appeal to the noobs, or is this gonna appeal to your super advanced, farmers?
Right. And so on the surface, again, it's more like click kill, which you guys know I'm not a huge fan of. It's not crazy innovative, and for the third league in a row, we're kind of presented with like inventory screens where we can see stuff, and then choose to like select it or to take it or to buy it or whatever. It's kind of like ritual, but I don't know. It's like, well, I'm not crazy excited about the league mechanic, but the more interesting thing that they've done with this league. Oh, and so also, this is the last guy, and he will offer like the maps. So it's very much like Blight in the sense that like, okay, so you're going to see it in maps and you're going to do like a mini version of it. But then then sometimes you'll get a expedition, and the expedition will be able to take you to these like unique maps.
I thought that was cool.
Okay.
I like that portion of it, honestly.
And so the expeditions are kind of interesting in the sense that like you can blow up. There's obviously the skulls and the treasure chests and the normal stuff you'd see in maps. But on top of that, you're going to be able to like blow up parts of the environment. So you can see here, he's going to plant this dynamite, and it's going to like blow up the trees. And you see later in the video, he like blows up a wall and like unlocks areas that will happen along this expedition that you're doing, which is, it's interesting, I guess. And I assume that there's new bosses, which we get kind of and the new bosses look phenomenal.
They do look really cool. I like that too. And I wonder if they blow up areas to get to the bosses or like how you fight them, but they do look dope. They look like pretty sick.
Right.
So,
and then on top of this stuff, we're getting, so technically, if you're into lore, we're getting
this game has a story.
Base types, because these guys tried to settle into the world of Path of Exile, and they were like all murdered off, and so they like said fuck this, and they just sailed away, and now they're coming back, and so like their armor and stuff like that is otherworldly. So we're getting like brand new base types that don't have anything to do with like evasion, armor, and like energy shield like we're used to in Path of Exile. We're getting like entirely new stuff. And so one of the things that we talked about in this video is ward, which I'm sure as an MMO player you're kind of familiar with what a ward is, right? Yeah. It's like a block damage, or not even like a block's not a good word. It's like a damage absorption.
Yeah.
And the way it works, originally I'm like, oh, that's sweet, right? It's like kind of like ES, but like a ward. But basically how it works is like, so say you have a ward for like 100 damage, and you get hit, and then the hit's like 5 damage, and then the ward gets depleted basically, and then it goes on like a cooldown. So on the surface, it doesn't sound great, but there are builds, like some of the builds I like to play, they have like a ton of dodge, a ton of evasion. So the frequency at which you actually get hit is pretty low. And so that could be good for something like that.
That's kind of weird. Unless they have some ward gems that you can use to cast wards on yourself or something. I don't know if they introduced anything like that.
They've got some like ward stats to say like increased generation of ward, or like lowered the cooldown of the ward, stuff like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We don't know what the other base types look like and stuff like that. But I don't know. It'd be maybe interesting, or a big flop that they'll have to balance later on. We'll have to see. And, we get a sneak peek at a couple of new uniques. Right here we see faster regeneration of ward, or restoration of ward, or 26% increased ward. So it's interesting. It is interesting. Yeah. I'm down with that stuff. And now, Path of Exile tweeted out like, gosh, last week they're like, we're really shaking up the meta game. And what that means, if you guys aren't familiar with kind of gaming terms, is like, so like, in Diablo 3, like the meta is like running rats and, whatever the 4-man meta was for last season. Like it's very set in stone. It's the best. Like you'd be stupid to run something else because those things are so good, right?
Right.
And so that's what they like. Everything going into basically every league of Path of Exile, at least you have for like the last year. Like, oh, it's gonna be good. ED Contagion, that's a sure thing. Some slam skill is probably a sure thing. And they do like minor nerfs because they don't want to like, nerf stuff into the ground. But what ends up happening is just like everyone just continues to play like the same builds over and over and over. And I don't think we saw a break away from that until like Harvest went core and was good, right? And then people were playing like meme builds because it was so like easy to gear up and stuff like that because deterministic stuff. But I digress. So yeah, and so we're getting like totem slam skills. So this usually like this molten strike is like a slam skill and gets buffed up by you doing like the war cries, and now like the totems can cast because totems couldn't cast the slam skills before, but now they can't.
Yeah, now his totem's kicking ass.
Right, and so like there's this insane stuff going on the screen.
He wasn't even doing it; it was his totem.
Right.
That was nutty. Would that be fun to play though? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I mean, if you're into totems, yeah, sure,
yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that skill. So like the way they've done it is there's 19 ascendancies, right? And so then there's also 19 new skills. So like all these skills are designed around the theme of like every ascendancy.
Right.
So with this one, it's Berserker. It gets the Rage Vortex. With Berserker, usually you're sitting at like a high rage pool because you're good at generating rage. And so you basically expend rage to shoot out this like circle. It's like Blade Vortex, basically.
It's not bad looking.
Yeah, it looks good. I think that would be interesting. I'd like, things you can like supplement, maybe like if you could somehow do this plus cast something else, I think that'd be really cool.
Right.
We'll have to see. And poison, it hits for physical, maybe, question mark. And then there's this one kind of like, it's called Bone Shatter, and it's meant to like take away your own defense as you continually hit, and it gets more powerful based on like how much of your own defense is taking away. So it's meant to like go along with like the Juggernaut, which has like really high kind of innate defenses.
Yeah.
But even in this video, it seems like it's like really slow and not hitting.
Yeah, that looks not impressive.
Right. But who knows? It's just a demo video, so maybe it'll be really cool. Defiance banner is a new banner. So banners are something that you carry around and it gives you like a buff. And this one actually seems pretty strong. I think it increases your armor and evasion. So just like straight defensive juice. And then if you place it, it like decreases the crit of everything nearby and gets juiced up or something like that. So it sounds, like a pretty defensive option. This one looks really great. This is a gladiator and he shoots out this like a shield charge. He's shield charging, but then he like shoots out this 3-way beam. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks quicker for a melee.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Shield Bash from D3 a little bit. Because there's one rune that like makes it 3, right?
Yeah.
And then they have Behead support gem based on the Slayer class, which is basically like a mini headhunter. So when you kill an elite, you get their buff. But it's not as good as Headhunter because Headhunter will like keep going, like it'll last for 20 seconds and then like the effect stacks. But this was, as soon as you kill like another elite, you lose the previous elite's buff. So it's kind of like a mini Headhunter for people that want to experience that. Not as good, obviously, but interesting. Cool. This is cool.
What was that on? Was that a gem you said?
Yeah, it's a support gem. So it's like something you can tie to.
That'll be interesting. Everybody can kind of get that thrown in. That's kind of dope.
Yeah. So this one's called Storm Rain. It's from the Raider. So he shoots down like an arrow from the sky, and then like it plants itself in the ground, and then the arrows that are on the ground like chain lightning to each other, which is very much like Fisher rune on what is that? Yeah. What was that skill for the Crusader? Always forget.
Fisher. It was Fisher of
That's
Heaven's
the rune,
Wrath.
What's
Heavenly
the
Wrath?
skill? Rain? I don't know.
Yeah, Fisher was the rune, and the skill was Heavenly Wrath, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
No, what was it? Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember. It's just Fisher.
Yeah,
it's always called it Fisher.
But yeah, so that's basically that, and which is cool because I think that's a very cool Fist of Heavens. Thank you, chat. Jesus. But yeah, so it's kind of like Fist of Heavens Crusader. You just shoot it down, and they chain lightning to each other, which is cool. They've also added this
a Marauder DH.
Yeah. So they've added this. Well, this is already in the game, so Ballista's. But now they've made it so you can add like a support gem that will have the ballista shoot your target, which is cool. I think that's really cool, actually. And it makes them shoot faster as well, so it seems like pretty strong. You like really be able to kind of set up shop and go to town on something. So I do like that. Anytime you have more control, I'm down for it. This one's really interesting too. So this is the Pathfinder, which is like a potion flask based class, and they throw potions out and they like explode, but you cannot wear weapons. So you're just like throwing out pots like a crazy alchemist or something like that.
That's weird.
And then the skill itself gets juiced based on the current flasks you have on. So I think this is actually gonna be like really big brain to like min max. Like you could probably spend like a whole league trying to figure out like
throwing like a nice little arc of potions right there.
Right, he's kind of wrecking.
Yeah, he's definitely tearing shit up. So
if you get some really good flask, maybe this is something you want to check out or whatever. It's gonna be kind of interesting. I do think that that's a pretty unique one, but it could end up being like kind of like gimmicky, but who knows? Yep. Next up we have Ambush. Oh, dude, I'm excited about this one. So Ambush is like a new movement skill, and you port like to the enemy, you hit them, which blinds them, and you get elusive, which is like all the things I love as an evasion-based character. And then you can like port in, port out. I love more mobility skills. Mobility is like my jam in isometric ARPGs. So another mobility skill to choose from, I'm all in. I think that's great.
Yep.
And this is the Trickster?
Purple juice from the trailer.
Yeah, and so this is one is just like Condemn. It's literally Condemn.
Exploding
explosive blast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you trigger it and then like some seconds later it blows up, basically.
That looks horrible in that iteration. I hope they have a juicier one later. There
like
we
a
go.
different color? Oh yeah.
No, like just faster charge or more explosions or chaining.
Yeah.
If you could chain those explosions indefinitely, that would be sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's explosive blast.
Right.
I love explosive blast.
Yep. There's gonna be all sorts of ways to do it. And then there's like a new trap, which is like based on like your weapons. So there's like some kind of big brain aspect to it, is like, they do different stuff based on the weapon types, and they hit, as fast as the weapon does and blah, 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 right? So there's min-maxing happening around the traps themselves in your current weapon setup. Which is whatever. I don't really play traps.
That looks like it's wrecking, but that looks not fun to play. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I've always seen traps.
Good, but I'm just like, that's not fun.
Traps and mines always seem to wreck, but I just have zero interest in trying.
Yeah, me too. I have no desire to ever play a trap build in my life.
Now this looks dope. So the Necromancer gets a whole new pet called the Reaper, and this thing just like slays.
Did he shoot out a big red beam?
Yeah, and it slays and looks dope, and he's like fading, and he's like hitting fast, and he's swiping red, and he like ports to the location. Yeah, because you control him and stuff. And so his thing is like, he's meant to be like the only pet that you have, and so if you have like other pets, he'll decrease how strong they are, and he'll even like on occasion like
that big scythe ability looks dope. Can you just be the Reaper? Can we just like put our Necro away and just be the Reaper? Right? That would be sick.
Yeah,
man.
it does look really good.
That
really,
animation right there that they just showed, that double swipe, looked fucking nasty. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I like that, dude.
And so he'll eat your other pets. You have to be kind of like, they meme here that like he'll eat your Guardian, which would be terrible because you have to like put your item. It's like an Iron Golem from D2, so that would be really bad if it ate that. But yeah, he eats the other minions, so kind of meant to be like the only guy out and juice him up like crazy. So I think he looks fucking amazing. And yeah,
I agree. That would be something that I would probably play just because he looks so cool.
Yeah,
I would just be like, I'm playing this. I don't even care.
Yeah. And so the Occultist gets this Forbidden Right skill, which consumes your own HP and does like chaos explosion damage. Looks cool. So you have to like figure out a way to not kill yourself like they just did in that video. But once obviously you can get popping, it looks like it slays pretty well. It kind of looks like Kinetic Blast.
Yeah, it's like heat-seeking missiles that are purple. It looks cool.
Now this,
I'm still stoked on the Reaper. Like I keep going back. I want to be the Reaper.
Yeah, dude.
Like, can they just make that a class, dude? I would so play that like 24/7. That's all I would. Like, all right, I'm a Reaper, man. It looks so dope.
Okay, now I'm gonna play this skill for you, and then you tell me what skill it is. Okay, coming soon. Here we go. Okay, what is this?
That's the Demon Hunter
Demon Hunter
thing.
Chakram? No, it's Frozen Orb.
Yeah.
Frozen Orb. It's literally Frozen Orb.
Yeah, Frozen Orb too. Well, Frozen Orb, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Frozen Orb kind of pops at the end, but yeah, it's like a mix with Fan of Knives and Frozen Orb stacked up.
You don't shoot out Fan of Knives.
No, but it's throwing them out. It's throwing the knives out from the thing.
But yeah, so this is one of the skills I was talking about. It's Frozen Orb. Clearly Frozen Orb. We saw Condemn, Frozen Orb, Explosive Blast. We're seeing a lot of things that look which is fine. Like, I'm all for it. I don't want to I'm not throwing shade at PoE here for like jacking skills or anything like that. I don't care. This one's really cool.
Yeah, that look dope.
So this one's called Battle Mage's Cry. It's a war cry that enchants your melee attacks with like a spell after they're cast. So he'll cast the skill and then it makes the spell go off.
That is raining forever.
Right? So he's got like Consecrated Ground that he's casting as his melee attack, but it's triggering the Firestorm.
The meteors that come from the sky, the way they animated those over the camera looks sick.
Yeah.
Like, that makes them look like they're flying in. That looks really, really good. The artwork on that's really good.
Yeah, impressive. But yeah. It's the Battle Mage, so it's the Inquisitor guy. He's got all the spell and attack buffs, so I think there'll be interesting combos you can make.
That looks fun. Yeah, that's a fun build.
And then we have the I forget this guy's name, the Mana Bond skill. So this one's actually really interesting in how it works. So basically, if you have a full mana pool, it'll make like this big AoE rune on the ground that does a lot of damage. He's going to do it in just a second. Any second now, please. Okay. And so what he's mapping here, he's got this huge AoE because he's got like a full mana pool, because I'm sure he's got like some mana on kill and stuff like that. But then when you want it to be like smaller and more like single target focused, you want to keep your mana pool low. So it'd be interesting.
Does the damage increase based on like
the current mana that was spent?
Area?
Yeah.
So it does more damage when you have less mana?
Yeah.
But less area.
But less area, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I like big brain stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then we have a new kind of like Sentinel skill, which works kind of like the old Sentinel build. I don't really understand how this one's different, other than like it looks like they're casting instead of like melee striking stuff. But it's cool. It looks good. And
also purple.
More pets, buggers. And then finally we have basically, what do you see when you see the skill get cast?
The hammer.
Yeah, hammered in.
Hammer satyr, yeah.
So yeah, we're getting the hammered in, and
we're getting hammered in. Yeah. It looks like fuck. Is it a hammer? What is it? I can't see.
I think it's whatever the weapon is technically.
Is it? Okay.
So I think that she's wearing.
So you could literally make it a hammered in if you wanted to.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so and it's interesting here because like the pitfalls of like hammers is that
walls.
it won't walls, and so these will like actually bounce off the walls and maybe like work in your favor. We'll see. But it looks like it hits like
the
crazy
walls
fast.
were absorbing them. But yeah,
that's
cool. There was some new builds that they showcased that looked pretty interesting.
Yeah,
there. That Reaper is dope. That's hands down the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in PoE.
That's pretty cool looking. Yeah,
I want to be it though. So it's like until they say like, "Yo, Reaper class unveiled," I'm like, okay.
And then Chris goes into this one is really interesting. I wish I could just like play this out while maybe we play that one clip if I can remember. Okay, so first he goes into how power creep's kind of gotten out of control. And now I don't know like how accurate this chart is, because it seems like to me like power is kind of at an all-time high last league, but then they say somehow it like got even more power creep this league, which I don't know that that's true, but whatever. So yeah, power creep is obviously out of control, and he kind of goes into like if you can find the clip. Yeah, I think he says, well, let's play it out loud for a bit. I'll explain it to you after it's played, because I know you can't hear it.
We do occasionally add new endgame challenges that are appropriate for the current power level of top characters. The rest of the game just becomes relatively easier and easier. Some games handle this by just endlessly and exponentially scaling monster life and damage to counteract player power growth.
So he basically says some games, quote, some games interact or solve like the power creep by just exponentially increasing like monster health and like damage numbers. And then it leads them to, he says, like a cheap, I'll play it.
Eventually, the numbers get too large and you need to crunch them all down again. This is a really cheap approach. It makes the game...
Yeah, so he says eventually you get to the point where you have to like stat squish and crunch the numbers down, and he says like this is a really cheap approach to the problem.
Okay.
Like, okay.
So what's his approach? Does he say his approach?
I mean, not in great detail.
What's your plan, Chris? Like we get the power.
Yeah, and I'm on board, man. I'm on board with like everything he's saying here. I'm curious how Path of Exile is going to do it because Path of Exile and balance are like it's not peas and carrots. It's like the complete opposite. Like there's no balance in this game. What are you talking about? So I don't know. I think it's interesting everything he has to say. I agree with everything he has to say, but it'll be interesting how PoE like kind of executes on it. I don't know. But it sounds good. I'm on board.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So one of the things they're doing this particular league is they're doing some big time nerfs across the board.
No game has ever found a system that gets rid of power creep. I've never played a single game that was like power creep. Oh, we got it tackled. It's easy. Right. Like no game ever. So.
If there's a brain that can do it, it's the big brain of Chris Wilson. We'll see.
PoE 2 soft reset. That is that his play.
So he also goes into here like how basically PoE used to be more challenging than it is now because of this crazy power creep. The campaign doesn't feel like immersive or like challenging in any way, shape, or form. Like you just kind of fly through it and get to maps as fast as you can. But according to Chris, this is all going to change, and so it's starting with Act 1, which is this is the take that I'm curious your stance on.
Yeah,
so Act 1's going to become harder, like a lot harder, and you got to pay attention more.
I disagree. So like I went through the campaign, and this last playthrough, I maybe died once or twice. I don't remember, honestly. And I was able to complete it. But I don't think the lack of challenge was a problem. And I think for new players, especially, I think the game's super challenging for a new player because you don't even know what the hell's going on 90% of the time. You got systems being thrown at you left and right that make no sense. So yeah, man, for veteran players, like absolutely, you guys can shit all over the campaign, but for newer players, like no way, dude.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, and that's why I wanted kind of your feedback because, like, they're starting with Act 1. So basically, they did like some study a long time ago that's like, 90% of players that try the game like don't make it through Act 1, and now they're making it like a million times harder probably. And so it's like it seems kind of counterintuitive. But I agree. Like, so he goes. What I agree with here is he goes into like how people really loved how Path of Exile 2's demo was like just really hard, and it was. I was there. I was at ExileCon. I played it. It was definitely like very challenging. It was very methodical. Like fights took a while, like because like your gear wasn't very good and shit was punishing and it's good. It's a good feeling to play up slower Path of Exile, but it's Path of Exile early game, and so like it just moves slower compared to the late game. So there was that piece involved too, but he goes into like how everyone loved the demo because it was so hard and like challenging, and so like their goal here is to kind of deliver that experience like back into the current campaign.
So they're only changing Act 1
for now, yeah. And then they said they're going to
Act 1 will be hard, and then you get through it, and then you're going to shit all over 2, 3.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say later too is that like those maps from Act 1 will be harder, like they'll be scaled in maps. So it's like, well, that's cool. And then like once they've eventually done all the acts, like all the maps will be balanced again. But basically, what you're probably going to do is like the other maps are just going to be easier, so you're just going to run those. Versus like the rebalance, like really hard ones. I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
to me.
I don't know. I think this might be just a taster. It could be just like a public beta of like, do people like that campaign's a little bit harder? I don't know.
It depends. I think PoE has never been afraid to cater to their hardcore audience, and I give them credit for that. But I don't know, man. I like that little thing that they just put in there. If you guys can't see the podcast, they had like a guy with a hand, and he put a popsicle stick on 1, 2, 3, 4 to hit all his flasks at the same time. I don't know if making Act 1 harder is a good thing for the game for bringing in new players and new money. I think that's probably a bad thing, but they're not designing the game.
Yeah, they're not designing for noobs. I think that further drives it home. I don't think there's any question that any like Path of Exile player had at this point of whether or not they're catering towards.
It's like they almost have a system to weed the noobs out. They're like, this game isn't for you, so like we're just gonna go ahead and tell you to F off in Act 1. It's like, Path of Exile guy gets out. He's like, yo, let's go. And he's like, this is hard as fuck. And then it's just like, fuck off. Okay, next.
Now this one has been a long time coming. It's a Flask system rework. Rework, as they say. So basically, I need to dive more here.
I didn't see a lot of rework.
Yeah, I agree. And so
what I saw, I was like, you're just nerfing them.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me,
where's the rework?
Seem like they're just nerfing across the board. They're being significantly less powerful and adding these 2 new currency items. And this was kind of cool because the currency items will make it like there's one that makes it so I wish I could find like the little clip here. I could just read the subtext or something. Or maybe it says on the actual website. Hang on. I definitely don't have them memorized. Where's flasks? Flasks? New skills. Okay, yeah. So one of the things, these new currencies that are just used on flasks. Basically, adds an enchantment to a utility flask will improve it, but prevent it from gaining charges during its effect. Replaces any existing enchantment. So that's an effect that will like make it more powerful, but it won't gain charges, which is like, so you won't be able to really spam it. But when you use it, it'll be stronger, which I think is probably what they should have done across the board, is to make them so that you only want to use them situationally and not just spam your fingers. But the way they've done it is like everything kind of stays the same. Like I think the charges are going up. So like you will as a whole be able to cast the flask less frequently, and they are all getting kind of nerfed across the board. And I think that they call that, quote unquote balance. But if you want, you could still piano flask, which is silly to me. And the other one that I think is more interesting is this other form of currency that basically adds an enchantment to utility flask will cause it to be used when certain conditions are met. So something like if you get ignited and there's like burning on you, the potion will automatically trigger itself. And so it'll cure your burning and give you the effect of whatever the potion is. I think that's a cool idea.
I like that auto flask, but then you're just removing it from,
and you don't have it on demand when you want it.
Like, dude, just get flasks out of the game.
I completely agree. I think if it's this
flasks
system
are the biggest
zero,
sore thumb. In PoE, flasks are the biggest sore thumb in the game to me. So
I think that I'm down with consumables and like having a belt of consumables. Having a health potion just literally makes sense. Like there's no way around that. I'm totally fine with how the health flask currently works in Path of Exile. It's just all the other flasks. And I think that like you said, they can't figure out a better system. Like just delete it. But I do think they should just be like situational things. You don't want to just be spamming the keys all the time. You're like, oh, I'm about to fight this guy. I need to be more evasive. So click.
Right. Oh, I got a bunch of mobs. Let's go ahead and just piano flask real quick. Make sure I'm good.
Right.
I don't like it, man. Maybe in the D3 in me, that's just like potion flask. Cool. Maybe the WoW in me, mana flask. Cool. That's probably it. Run speed flask, maybe, but now you're pushing it. 3 flasks, like, okay.
Yeah.
That's my limit.
So I definitely feel like this definitely didn't hit the mark for as long as Path of Exile community has been, sort of outcrying for a flask system rework. I think that this is on paper has completely missed the mark, but
we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out.
I agree with you. I read this and I was like, where's the change? They just nerf flasks, like this isn't a rework. This is just you're still gonna piano flask. And you may not even use the new gems at all. You may just piano flask anyways with shittier flasks. So
and so the last thing they kind of talk about is support gems are kind of getting a rework. So it sounded like it's mostly nerfs. It didn't sound like, the stuff that doesn't get utilized as much as others is getting buffed or anything like that. It sounds like just kind of across the board, the stuff that most players are using is just getting nerfed. So like the example he gives is like controlled destruction. So controlled destruction like decreases your crit chance, but increases like your crit multiplier by a lot. And so now it like multiplicatively decreases your crit. So you would it gives you like more spell damage. I don't remember. Anyways. So yeah, it sounds like there's a bigger penalty for using some of these. They have trade-offs, but overall they're just kind of getting nerfed across the board. Stuff that gets like overused. So I think they want to encourage players to use like the more utility support skill gems, but I would still think players are probably just going to use the ones that do damage. But we'll just have to see how this all plays out. I don't know. I'm very, curious because they talk a lot about balance, and again, like Path of Exile hasn't historically been great at balance. So I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. But it sounds super interesting. Now, this part is game changing. So they say trigger skill balance. So there's there's a couple mechanics that people use a lot. Cast when damage taken, right? So like something will cast based on how much damage you've taken, and it like auto casts itself. And then cast on crit, or cast while channeling, stuff like that. So if you linked those skills, like their mana cost wouldn't actually trigger. And so you could like make some insane setups. Like, people always meme like the cock builds, right? Because cast on crit. And so like cock builds are a huge thing in Path of Exile. And so like those are, I wouldn't say that they're dying, but like you're going to have to really rethink how you play those, because now the triggered skills will actually trigger the mana costs for those required skills as well.
Yep.
So, a lot of builds just died immediately just from that post alone. So that'll be interesting to see.
There's probably a lot of unhappy people out there.
Yeah. I haven't got to be on Reddit.
Nerfs never go over well, do they?
No. Yeah, like no one likes a nerf. But, sometimes they need to happen. And, again, I'm with Chris Wilson, all the things he says. The throwing the shade at Blizzard for, stat squishing. We'll have to see how they do it. It's easy to like sit back and be like, oh, we've got the right solution, and maybe it sucks.
Yeah,
but
let's see if it works.
This one I like a lot too. So it's movement skill rebalance. There's like skills that are just better. Movement skills are just better than everything else. Like you're probably just gonna run flame dash like all the time anyways, because the other stuff is just not as good compared to it. And so they're kind of rehashing that. I don't know if their intention is just to nerf smoke mine and flame dash and not touch the others, but hopefully they'll like buff the others. Is what I don't know. I don't know how it's
flame dash is what I have always used.
Yeah,
so
because it's just the best.
Yeah, I don't know what did they do to flame dash? Anything? Did they say?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they didn't say.
So we'll just see how that plays out. But sounds interesting. One thing. So before we get into like the last tidbit, which really has nothing to do with the league, what are your kind of thoughts overall on what you've seen so far?
It's interesting. I think it's it's a PoE expansion. I don't think this really, in my opinion, falls into their big, super crazy mega expansion scenario that I think this was supposed to line up to be, wasn't it? Wasn't this a big boy?
Yeah, I think so.
But a lot of effort goes into it. I mean, like think about these patch notes. If it's all relative. If you play a game like Diablo where you get a seasonal theme, like you get all this change. This is huge, But in the context of PoE, I don't know. I felt like we've seen more interesting stuff, but at the same time, some of the skill gems looked very interesting and cool and fun, and the mechanic, it's hard to say. It's a click and kill is what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's not. It's in the middle to me. It's not horrible looking, and it's not like, dude, I really want to play this.
Yeah, I kind of had some high hopes coming into this one because, obviously one Ultimatum was just like, to me, just not very fun. A lot like Heist. I don't know what I think was worse, was Ultimatum or Heist. I think Heist was probably a worse league, but Ultimatum, I was coming off such a high of Ritual that it felt worse. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of hoping for like maybe a spark of enlightenment with GGG to have like maybe a bit more deterministic ways of getting loot, and like Harvest was providing for so many players, and Harvest hit on so many levels for so many people, and it didn't hit for some, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't see anything like deterministically return to Path of Exile. I know they hate that, but I think just the play of like everything's complete and total RNG all the time, so you absolutely must and have to play Trade League or you're completely gimping yourself, is just kind of sad to me. But so overall, I'm not crazy impressed.
I think the RNG loot factor in PoE is a small turnoff to me as well. Like if I have a build that I want to run and I know there are things that I can do to try to target the items I need, I like that personally. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's just like, yo, play trade league. Like that was the solution to every league I've played. It's like, well, just trade for it. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
true.
Just wait until I get the Chaos Orbs to afford to buy it or the Exalts, and then boom. All right, I put it together. I got enough Exalt. You know, so
I get it. And then like the league mechanic again, we're seeing click and kill, and then on top of that, we're seeing like basically Ritual Ultimatum trade windows come back. I think it's interesting to see Kadala. We'll have to see how these other vendors play out. But if it's essentially just like more of the same, like just more chances at probably not getting good loot, I think it'll be very boring. Yeah. So I think that.
Yeah, it just depends if some of the skill builds or some of these new gems can make builds that are fun to play.
And I think that's huge. Like I think 19 new skill gems, the meta gonna shift. No one's gonna go into the next league being like, oh, ED Contagion, that's a sure thing. I'm gonna start that and like pop off. And make a ton of money.
Like even if the builds aren't really that good, the Reaper looked fun. The Reaper looked fun. The what was the melee that had the enchantment on it to cast the meteors? Yeah, that looked really cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
The lightning plus on the ground that had like size and mana variance with damage, that looked cool.
Yeah.
Like all three of those builds to me were like, okay, this is in itself enough to be like, well, maybe that'd be fun to play at least for a couple of weeks or to get the build set up and see how it plays. So there are definitely some redeeming things about this league that are like, oh, and the bosses look really dope too from the league mechanic. But how do you trigger them to fight? Like, do you have to get one of those expeditions and then blow up an area and find them? Or like, what's, how often do you get to fight them? Is it going to be like once every month? Or is it like, if you're not, a crazy player, you fight them once a month, or can you fight them every day?
Yeah.
Good
question.
Yeah. So those are the things that would make it more fun to me. But all in all though, man, this level of content is still something I would die for in every game that I love.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like
those of us that love Path of Exile, like truly love Path of Exile. I mean, we are pretty spoiled. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Insane. Like my favorite game, like Diablo 3. Yeah. Like we don't get anything like this.
No.
Like World of Warcraft, like it went 9 months without content. 9 months without content.
Yeah,
and that's insane. And that's an active game. It's not like a put on the back burner game. So like for GGG to pump out content every 3 months is still pretty nutty. So
yeah, like one of the probably the best games for content on the internet, if not the best. Then the last little bit of information is, something that me and PChild meme about a lot, like something that should totally exist in Diablo 4 is a BR. Because I do think in this space, it would work really well. Like you go out and you kill stuff, get loot, and then you kill our players, take their loot. Like it just seems really smart. And so basically Path of Exile as a meme, they spent one development day on developing their own BR on April Fool's like 2 years ago. And people loved it. It was a meme, but the people like totally loved it. And after 24 hours, they took it down and like never returned. And so basically they just announced that it has come back. So they brought back the BR, and it works, similar in that way. It's been cleaned up a bit. But yeah, so you kill monsters, you get loot.
This is fucking awesome to me personally. Like I think this is really cool. So here's my thought process on this though. I'm not a good PoE player, so I think as soon as I go in there, I'm just gonna get pooped on by people that know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the same as any BR though?
Yeah, but like, I think the skill gap's higher because in Fortnite or Apex Legends or whatever, like if you have hand-eye coordination, you can pick up a gun and shoot somebody, right? In PoE, it's going to be like, oh, okay, I just got this item. Let's use this skill gem and mix it with, we're looking for this skill gem now. Or I don't know exactly how it's going to work or the trees. So I think this is a much higher knowledge cap in this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing is why it's different and why I think it works in an ARPG formula probably better than it even does in like a shooter formula. Because at the end of the day, like, so you and I say it's like Halo, and we both get a weapon, and you start with a battle rifle, and I have like a an assault rifle. Like I'm probably still gonna win that fight because like I was really good at Halo versus you, which is not as good, right? Whereas in Path of Exile, like I can start out with like an AR that like shoots like nothing, like it has like no bullets or like it just is so shit. But you could have like a souped up BR and you're just gonna win that encounter because like you're just so like skill is definitely involved in this. But ultimately, like, there's a ton of RNG, and you can go around where you just like, man, I didn't get anything, I couldn't make a build, and then I ran into a guy that had like, 2 uniques on and like the perfect gem setup or whatever. So there's still like an aspect to it of like it's RNG, and that keeps it kind of fun. I think like you're not gonna get pissed because you lost to a guy that was like chaining Ice Nova versus or something like that. Like,
right. This looks fun. Like this is awesome in my opinion. And honestly, I hope that this game mode excels and I hope it does really, really, really well because this is this sets up BRs for Diablo 4 and for Lost Ark and for all these other games maybe potentially in the future. Future ARPGs. I think ARPGs are meant for it. Like I still think Diablo is such a basic system. Like its skill and its gear are so basic that I think a Diablo's and BR in Diablo 3 would just work because you could go in and you're like, oh, there's only a handful of builds I can put together anyways, so let's see what we get.
Right.
So but PoE's got a lot more knowledge, I think, that goes along with it. So we'll see how it plays out, man. It's definitely interesting. That loot vomit in a BR is still a little concerning. Like look at all the loot on the ground. That's like I don't know, man. It's something that they can refine, and they even said that they're going to make tweaks to it in the future.
People like it. They said they definitely.
Yeah, so like this is fucking cool, man. This is the highlight of the thing for me, honestly. This is the coolest feature, I feel like.
So they're doing this for this weekend. I'm probably gonna try it out for the first time after this, and then they're not doing it next weekend because it's launch weekend. But then like every weekend after that, basically they're gonna
and they're making it a weekend thing, which gives you a reason to play on the weekends. I think that's cool. I like that. That's kind of like a trials thing from Destiny. Destiny used to do trials on the weekends, like their PvP game mode, and it was a huge success. So I like that.
But yeah, they've also given like a little mini skill tree instead of like the full on thing, which I have yet to check out. But it's good. It's probably
I'm assuming that this is like make a character and then queue up for BR and get dropped in the world. Like you don't have to level a character. You don't have to worry about getting gear or running labs or like it's just like go play.
Right.
I feel like that's how it's going to work. I assume that's how it's going to work, and that's interesting to me. I would probably jump in and play that just for shits. Even though I'm going to suck at it, I'll be like, yo, this is fun. Let's go. Let's go do it.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a shot. After this.
I wonder if you can jump in with buddies. I wonder if they'll make it
I think
like
it's all
any kind of like
solo queue
2v2s and 3s.
Yeah. They might later on, but right now I think it's solo. So yeah, I'll have to give that a shot after this. And then just touch on like they get supporter packs. The new supporter packs are out. They have 2. So there's this like
Sword looks dope.
I don't know, kind of Egyptian themed, I guess. Like a cat and like the pharaoh head. Looks good. Okay, so there's this one. I want you to pick, right? Because there's like always 2. Right. So you like this one or this one. So this one's kind of like a Viking / Valkyrie.
Yeah, Thor-ish
theme.
style. I don't know, man. Go back up to the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Valkyrie one, dude.
Okay.
What would you pick?
That. I think I'd probably pick this one.
Yeah.
The Pharaoh
I like
thing.
the weapon on that a lot, but the Valkyrie one just has
I like the weapon on the Valkyrie one. Like this, if you get the juicy one, you get like the Wrath of the Lich King blade.
Yeah, that looks sick, dude. I like that.
Yeah,
it is so Wrath of the Lich King, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a lot of let's borrow this Blizzard.
What's the thing in the back? Like, so I see all the cosmetics
portal,
in the character,
right? So that's
that's your
portal
town portal.
I think there's actually a video. Oh, yeah. So it opens up like a town portal.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool.
I do. I like that, man.
Yeah.
$60 though.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is how
$90 itself,
$90 $90 for the juicy one. So that's like a new tier. Like that's one of the things they announced is there's a new tier of supporter packs. There's usually just there's $60 one, and you choose between the two. But now there's like a $90 version, so you get like more points.
I'm interested if people think that value is on point. Like, I would definitely buy some of those things, but $90, that's like 2 full-fledged games almost. You know what I mean? Like, that's a game and some other stuff. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot. It's a lot of jack.
If Ultimatum, I bought a juicy pack, a supporter pack during Ritual because I was having literally the time of my life playing Ritual. Ultimatum, and going into Ultimatum, I bought one of the original supporter packs for like $60. Because again, this is how Paths of Exile funds itself. It's not subscription based. It's not you buy, right? So it's like, I want to support the game that I love. Now, am I going to buy one of these? No, because I want to know if the league's going to be good first. So, like, hopefully that keeps some of the devs on their toes. Like, we got to make good leagues because otherwise people aren't going to buy shit. I don't know, but
I almost wonder if they price themselves out though, because like I've spent money on PoE. Like I definitely have. I've given them more money than Diablo 3, and I've played it way less. Because they have options to support them. But like I don't think I would buy that $90 pack, but I would probably spend 20. So I wonder if they put it at 20, would they not sell 4 20s versus 190? Or like what, or does that diminish the value? And then people are like, I'm not going to buy that. I don't know. It's really weird. I wonder where they get these numbers from, because
it's like a whole marketing thing
I'm interested. But they're cool. Like the cosmetics are pretty dope. I like I said, if PoE 2 is the jam, I think they got a nice scheme. I wish that Lost Ark would have followed this monetization scheme and been like no pay to win, just purely cosmetic. You know what I mean? If they would have followed PoE's monetization, I think that game would be super successful.
I concur. So that's kind of it on the PoE front. I don't have any like special, things I overheard in some of the panels like I did last time. That's it. We did a deep dive on the extended trailer.
I think that's good. I think that's a nice overwork of PoE. That's a lot of PoE talk.
Agreed. So you had Insider Leak? What is this?
Yeah, this was interesting. One of our viewers linked this to me in the new meta section in Discord. Okay. So I didn't actually see this on Reddit, but I read the leak, and apparently this is like a big rant from a Blizzard employee who goes on, and I'm just going to summarize it. It's maybe we throw it in the notes on the thing if you want, but it basically goes in to just show how I'm a huge WoW player, and it just goes to show how Shadowlands, this latest expansion, has kind of been not well received.
Like worse than the one before it?
Yeah, BFA wasn't that good either, but Shadowlands I think is going down the same path of maybe even being worse.
Yeah.
And it's just because it just seems like the direction is thrown off and they don't know where they're going. But this article goes in to explain some of the behind the scenes thing, and we don't know if it's true or not. But he's talking about how there's a mentality of the game, we're just too big to fail. And I think they're starting to, see the numbers are reflecting that. No, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, you've made a mess of all this stuff, and Final Fantasy 14's on the up and up, and get your shit together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting read, though. If you're into WoW at all, I think you'll be super into the article. Even if you're not into WoW and you want to hear just kind of behind the scenes on how Blizzard Activision and they look at stuff, it's worth the read. So, but it could all be fake too. Who knows? But it's well written. So, and then another thing that I read was that Netflix is going to start offering a video game service.
Like,
or they're doing something.
Streaming?
They're dabbling in video games.
Like
so
Stadia
they specifically said they're not going to do a streaming service like Stadia, but I don't know, man. They hired
because they used to like rent video games. Like that's something they used to do.
Originally, they started off with their DVDs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they hired the former Electronic Arts and Zynga or whatever, the executive Mike Verdu. I don't really know who he is, but he was a top dude at EA, and they brought him in to start doing some game stuff with them. And apparently they're developing, they've made The Witcher. They got rights to the Witcher games, and I think maybe there's some talk of them partnering up and doing some Witcher stuff, and then producing video games for some of their own IPs. Man, Netflix has a bunch of intellectual properties that they've made, and do some games. So it's just cool. I thought it was interesting news because Netflix is huge AF, and if they're gonna bust in the gaming scene, like they changed the way movies work, man. They changed the way HBO and cable and like all these providers offer movies and TV shows, and like they could really do some damage to the gaming scene if they come in and they're like, yeah, we're gonna
Maybe.
How about we just part of your Netflix subscription now you get access to a library of games that we produce. What if they started putting out AAA titles and they're just like, oh, it's just think about if your Battle.net launcher, if you had a Blizzard subscription and let's say it was like $5 a month or $15 a month, and everything on your BNet launcher was just playable. You didn't have to buy it.
Right.
You know?
If you like
I don't know.
Blizzard games, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, your Blizzard game subscription.
Right.
You know? Crazy. What about some hates, man? You hate some stuff this week?
Yeah. So I just kind of recently signed up for, so like, you know, I do CrossFit off and on, and the place I really like to work out, it's like this little death camp thing that I used to do, and that's how I met Lindsay originally. It's like 40 minutes away. And if it was up to, I would just do that like 3 times a week because it's insane. It's the best workout I've ever had still. But you know, CrossFit, some days it's like, it's actually a really good workout. Like today was actually pretty good. But there's like, so like Tuesday, we had something called, what are they called? Snatches, dumbbell snatches. And I haven't done a lot of snatches in my life, I just realized. And so I felt very awkward. And it's kind of like one of the first things I've encountered when working out that has felt like awkward to me, that I couldn't really do it properly. And that's like kind of a very foreign feeling to me, because usually if it has anything to do with working out, like I'll just be good at it. And so I did that, and you know, kind of felt sore. And then, you know, I'm in the class with some guys, and like I'm just behind because I'm like really struggling with my form on these dumbbell snatches. And so I come back today, and today is like, it's like shoulder presses and push-ups and pull-ups, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking wreck this thing. Like I'm gonna annihilate everyone. Yeah. And this guy who has like destroyed me on Tuesday, he comes up and he's like, at some point during the workout, I was like, you know, 12 rounds in, and he's like, he comes up to me, he's like, oh man, what round are you in? I was like, I'm on 12. And he's like, oh, I must be on like 15 or something then. I was like, you fucking rat, get out of here. That's so condescending. Just to assume that because like I sucked at something, right? Yeah. Oh, that really got under my skin. But I get it. People are competitive and stuff. But
I would assume the same thing. I'd be like, oh, Fluff, I gotta be a couple ahead.
From working out, you just assume that you were. Hey, but speaking of which, how's the working out been going? I know that you recently have actually started to work out.
Sore, man. Like I'm starting to get over, that soreness, at least for me. I always get really sore when I hit the gym. Like it's like super crazy sore. So first couple weeks is really bad. So it's starting to go away where I'm like, can work out a little bit.
Yeah.
And do it. But
that's good though.
Yeah.
Man. The soreness.
Kickstarting it back in. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep it up, but it's just like one of those. I cheated on my diet for I guess when I came up to the lake with you, and then like the whole week after. And I just felt shitty. I felt like not like mentally shitty, but just like from a physical standpoint, I was just like, and then all the IRL interviews and stuff, like it's stressful to prep and study. Like I was studying to get certifications and studying for interviews and I was just like in this weird mental state. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna go to the gym, and it helps, man. It made me feel instantly better just to go bust it out. So, but yeah, for my loves section, so my oldest son turned 15.
Okay.
And at 15 years old, in the good old USA, you can get your learner's permit and you can start driving a car as long as you got mom or dad in the car. So, so he's hyped, man. He's super hyped. Like you can't imagine how exciting that is for anybody to start driving, right? So his birthday is like, boom, let's go up and get your learner's permit. So we drive all the way there, and I got all the documents and stuff ready, and we get in the car, and it's like 15 minutes from the house. So we drive down into the place, we pull up, and we're getting ready to get out, and I'm like, you got your stuff? And he's like, oh man, I forgot my stuff. So he left all his documentation at home. I'm like, it's cool, man. Let's just go. We'll go pick it up and come back. So he's too hyped. So we go pick it up, we drive all the way back, and we're pulling in the parking lot. And as we're pulling in, you can see the driver's test lady like get in the car for somebody that's getting ready to take the exam. And so you see them flipping the lights on, and you see them like honk the horn and like turn the wipers on, and they're doing the whole like inspection thing to know where all the shit's at. And then we walk past the car as we're going towards the building, and all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. Like they started to back out, and something made me look. You know what I mean? I'm like, I turn around and I look, and I see, like, as we were walking by originally, I looked in the car and I could see it was like an older lady. Like they weren't a 16-year-old. They were probably mid 30s, late 20s, mid 30s. But they looked like they were a little weird. You know, like you're kind of, that kind of person. And I'm like, okay. And then when they started to back out, I turned and looked, and man, they smashed a car in the parking lot.
Damn.
Which happened to be where I was parked originally.
Damn.
Before my son forgot his paperwork. So I'm just like, oh my God, thank God you forgot your paperwork, dude. Right. Because it was like, you heard the crash. I turned around and I'm like, oh, they just failed. You know, and my son was like, oh my God, did they just hit that car? I'm like, yeah. And then everybody kind of crowds around and looks and stuff. And I'm just like, but what a funny chain of events, man. You know, so it's not really a love. That's just the PChild story.
Good karma out there, man.
Yeah. It was like, something happened to like, he forgot his papers to make me move my car.
Yeah.
So
good for you.
Let's jump into the Twitter questions really quick. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can tweet at ThaPChild at Lord__Fluffy, or you can join our Discords, which is the best place. Rank 1 Civ says, PChild, what changes besides UI would make you play PoE longer? And Fluff, what do you want more of to keep you hooked next PoE season?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, you first, so.
Besides the UI would make me play PoE longer. I think a big deterrent for me, and this is, I can't be alone in this, but this is also a detriment to the game, I feel like, is understanding how I can get the loot that I want to get. I think crafting in PoE is uber fucking complex from a noob looking out at the inside. If there were ways that I could kind of target pieces, even if they weren't the best pieces for that build, but like maybe like, oh yeah, that's a good piece for that build, but it's not the best piece for that build. If there were ways that I could, it would be easier for a mid-tier player to understand, I think, or a beginner player to understand, that would probably keep me sucked in longer. Targetable things that I could chase while I learn the game.
Yeah. Yeah, mine kind of plays off that a little bit. Ritual, I just had the most unethical uptime imaginable. Like I was never sleeping, and I was so addicted and just having the time of my life, and just loved it. And part of the reason, for that was that in SSF, which is all I want to play in PoE because I hate trade. I did genuinely feel like if I just kept playing, I'm eventually going to get exactly what I need. And I think that completely died in Ultimatum because it went back to just being like, Path of Exile is just complete RNG. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
If you keep playing, the chances of you getting what you want or what you need are going to go up, obviously. Mm-hmm. But there's zero, guarantee or chance that you're gonna probably find what you're looking for in the long run. And that was I don't know, it kind of ruined the some of the drive and desire for me to grind. Obviously, health concerns did as well, but just those weeks that I did play, it was definitely not as addicting at all.
I think so. Not understanding how crafting works in detail really holds new players back, but not having something targeted, like I want to log in and be like, okay, you know what I really need? I need a badass shield that fits this build that I'm trying to do. Let me go look online. Okay, here's the best shield, and this is like some crazy crafting. Fuck, I don't know how to do that yet. Oh wait, this is like a optional second best or third best or fourth best shield, but it's still pretty damn good, right? Mm-hmm. I can get this by doing XYZ delving or by whatever, running, red tier whatever zone maps or something. Like, okay, cool. Then I'm gonna go grind that shit until I get the shield that I need. You know what I mean? But to me, it doesn't seem like there's any of that in there. It's just like, oh, hopefully I get what I want because I don't know how to craft it. So, you know, and it's like, you know, the get good is like, well, let's learn how to craft. But it's not that simple. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think that a lot of Diablo players especially go into it like, well, I want to play Lacerate, you know, for example. And well, what do people use with Lacerate? And so you like go inspect some builds and you're like, oh, this guy's wearing like a unique Soul Raker or something like that. And you're like, well, I can get that. I know what that is. It's unique, blah, blah, blah. You purchase it. I think the tough part, you know, for 99% of those players is like getting used to the fact that like, well, you're not having a set item in every slot. Like you are picking the stats you want. And I think all people caught was like, well, I can't get exactly the stats I want. So the item must be like really bad. And like that min-max system of like, well, you know, the shield has like 4 of the things I really like on it. And those are really good stats. But like the 2 other things are completely worthless to me. And so they, you know, Diablo mentality is like, well, that's a shit item. But in Path of Exile, it's like, oh, that's actually quite good. So yeah, it's just
and I was able to comprehend. I agree with that statement 100% because I went into playing PoE like that. Like I want unique in every slot, and then you're like, no, you don't. You know, you need the stats. So once you get over that, but then you can start. But all the items I got, with the exception of like 2, were fucking Trade League bought items.
Right.
It's like, how did you get them? Oh, I bought them off Trade League. Why? Because I didn't get any of the drops I wanted, and on top of that, like I'm fucking picking up so much loot and IDing loot, and then as a new player, it's taking me even longer to analyze: is this good or is this bad? You know what I mean? And so I spent so much time in town looking at loot, looking at my trade, like looking at gear, just to be like, no, this is crap, I think, but maybe I could sell this. You know, let's look up the value. And like, but the good part is you learn stats and you learn valuable items doing that. The downtime is like, I'm not really playing the game, I'm playing the gear, and that's not fun. I want to go kill monsters. I don't want to sit in my hideout and just look at stats all day. So, yeah, targetable loot, and then maybe I don't know how you can fix the second problem though. It's just knowledge. It's just game knowledge. You know, you got to play the game and learn and study and educate.
It's interesting too, because that scenario you just described, I know that's happened to a lot of people. Some of my IRL friends have told me like their Path of Exile experiences. The game early on is like super addicting. They get into it because they have some base knowledge of isometric RPGs. So they start playing and they're killing stuff and they get like white items. Like, well, I don't have anything in that slot, so I put it on. Like, I know to do that. And then eventually they get blue and like, well, I'm going to replace blues because like I need that. And like, oh, okay, well then now I need like 3 link greens. Like that makes a ton of sense. And then they start seeing some yellows and like, oh, this must be really good. So I'm going to put those on. And then the game eventually gets to the point where they just start seeing like yellows everywhere and blues everywhere and like whites, like in there, because they don't know anything about like a loot filter, for example. Like they don't know the first thing about that. And so they just start getting overwhelmed, as you say. Like they're just picking up everything and they're like, well, this is not good. I don't think this is better. I don't really know if this is better. And then that like feeling of being overwhelmed and frustration just like accumulates in, and they're like, fuck this, dude. Like this game isn't right for me.
They got to fix loot, man. And I hope that's a huge thing for them in PoE too. Like, I don't know, there's too much loot, and then there's too much time sorting through loot, and like loot filters shouldn't have to exist, I guess. Do you think they should even be a thing? So much loot should drop that you need to literally tell the game
I gotta
not even
think
show you loot.
That
seems horrible.
I gotta think that there's a better system out there. Like there has to be, I would think, a better system out there than a loot filter. But it seems like the games that have the best loot do loot filters. Like Grim Dawn, Path of Exile.
See, like Lost Ark doesn't have loot vomit. It doesn't have that many upgrades in general. Like you go time between it. Like you do your. It's more of an MMO style loot. I feel like
itemization in Lost Ark though sucks. Like honestly, it sucks. It's not like it's the combat that carries that game.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you can fix that without but I don't want to spend as much time looking through loot as I did in PoE. That was not fun to me, and I spent a lot of time doing it. So I guess the question is, what would I change? That would probably be my answer now. I would say give me a way to quickly identify good loot from bad loot, you know, so I don't have to spend as much time doing it. I don't know how you do that though.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I think that maybe, I don't know, like playing the same, like I know that'd suck. Like if you come back to PoE, like it's probably smart that you play like Lacerate again or something like that. So
right,
like,
because I would understand.
You understand and have some concept of like, I don't know what that stat does, but I know I don't need it. Right.
Right.
So yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Big Nooblet says, if you could have any skill and rune at level 1 while leveling to 70, what would it be? Diablo 3 reference, if you didn't know. But I don't know, dude. What's super OP? Because most of your OP comes from their legendaries. So you'd have to find what would be the most OP legendary that you could get.
What's the most OP skill that doesn't require a legendary to be good? Basically, like what has the highest skill multiplier? So I mean, Necro's pretty fortunate. We have Corpse Explosion.
I would say Corpse Explosion is probably the most broken.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Whirlwind with the lightning rune that lets you get energy back when you hit things, but is that enough to sustain? I still don't know if that's enough to sustain. And you wouldn't do any damage without weapons.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think there's any skill or rune that's super OP. It's really the legendary items that make the powers OP.
I can't speak enough to the other classes, but I think Necro, we're already in a good spot because Corpse Explosion,
exploding palm is insane. Or Corpse Explosion, is definitely the thing. Dirtnap says this season of Diablo 3 looks good, but I'm still not sure if I'm going to play that much. Do you guys agree? Why do you think that is?
I do agree. I think that Ethereals is interesting. I think that honestly, for me, a bit is like I never play non-season, but the fact that they will not roll over is like, well, I mean, it's gonna be cool to get them, and it's like a better seasonal theme than like Circles on the Ground. But at the same time, like I'm not really crazy incentivized to get them as someone who doesn't really care about transmogs.
Yeah. So I care about transmogs a little bit. But I don't think that they were cool enough to make me feel like I got to get them. So they were like yellow and blue item. It looks like skins that they put a really cool glowy effect on.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't look bad. They picked really nice looking cosmetics, but it wasn't like they were like, yo, that's super, super, super crazy awesome. Like I'm gonna use this transmog forever on every weapon I ever get if I get it. And then the fact that I have to farm all of them on every character class is more work than I want to put in.
Yeah.
And it's like poor me. Like, like, oh, PChild has to play the game to get stuff. Like, yeah, like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I agree. I think the season does look fun. I think the Ethereals are an awesome start to something because they're gonna go away at the end of the season and play the season if you want to play this thing. I like that. Was
kind of where my suggestion of like hardcore came from, because like I don't know, just doing it again, all the same stuff, and nothing's really different for the Necro is it's tough. It's tough to like have that motivation to want to play for longer than just like a week or two.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I do think this will be a fun season. I think people are going to rock out. Like if this seasonal theme would have been 10 seasons ago, if this would have hit way early on, this would have been like absolute ridiculously popular and awesome. Maester Magus says you get one sauce to use on everything from now on, including desserts. What is it?
Including desserts?
People already answered this question.
Do I have to, or like, is it?
No. I think you just it's it. You get one condiment, I guess, or one.
But do I have to use that on everything?
No, we'll just say that's the only one you can use. Right. Though you can't. It's either dry or this one.
Yeah, I mean hot sauce, like Frank's hot sauce or something. That's probably what I go with.
They already answered this in the Discord. They already knew what I was gonna pick.
Ketchup.
You're
disgusting.
Absolutely.
You're disgusting.
You would take hot sauce over ketchup?
I don't put ketchup on literally anything. Ketchup is vile.
What are you talking about?
It's so fucking disgusting.
Ketchup on fries? On a
I
hamburger?
don't like fries,
A hot
first
dog?
of all. But no, a hamburger, just cheese, the meat. It's good enough. If you nailed the seasoning on the burger, you're good. You don't need ketchup on it to just cover up the flavors. And a brat? No, mustard. You don't put ketchup on like a brat. You crazy?
Oh my god, dude. You could put ketchup on almost anything. Desserts, it'd be
You
disgusting.
can, and you do, but it doesn't mean you should. You put ketchup on a steak, and you should definitely never put ketchup on a steak.
Yeah, you should. It's good. It's delicious, dude. Chicken. Doesn't matter.
Chicken and ketchup?
Yeah.
That's fucking gross. Like grilled chicken?
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
A little ketchup on it?
That's fucking gross.
Yep. Ryan K99 says, what's your least favorite thing to do in a video game? Bounties.
Cutscenes.
Bounties.
Fucking
No,
cutscenes.
you need cutscenes. What about cutscenes and
unskippable cutscenes are the worst ever invented.
Did you skip the cutscenes in Final Fantasy VII Remake?
I don't remember. I think I skipped the skippable ones and just watched the cutscene.
Dude, and you wonder why you didn't like the game.
Yeah, it was shit. That's why I didn't like the game.
Oh my god. Yeah. Bounties. I don't know.
Doors is a good answer too.
Doors, yeah. I like doors. Yeah. Doors suck, dude. Bacon Therapy with a clever name.
Terrible name.
Says, what's the most difficult video game you've ever played?
Difficult.
PoE.
I'm
being serious.
Wow.
I'm being serious.
Okay.
Okay, original NES Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the very first one, not the arcade game, but the very first one. It's fucking impossible, and if you beat it, you're a liar and you used Game Genie. I would say that, or legit, like PoE is the most complex game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's probably true. Like, so I just this Tuesday I booted up Terraria because like every ARPG player I have ever known has played this game and loved it. It was like, it looks like shit. How am I gonna get over this? I'm very superficial, but I tried it. But I went in completely blind. I don't know a damn thing about the game. I've never watched it because I don't find it to be interesting to watch. And so completely blind, hardcore, hard to setting, and it's pretty tough because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I don't know. I would consider that like if I'd done the same, like if I'd gone into Path of Exile not knowing anything and gone into hardcore, I would think that Path of Exile would be like a million times harder.
Yeah. So what was the game like? Was it fun? What'd you think?
I mean, I didn't die ever. But
would you recommend the game?
I made 17 characters just for fun. And it was tough. And I still don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing or going. So there's that.
So like, what do you do? Like, do you like the game?
No.
So no, you don't.
It's like you're just harvesting, which I used to have a friend that like if there was harvesting in a video game, that's all he wanted to do. Like he just do that. Like there's the Minecraft players out there.
Grow plants and like mine plants and mine trees and ore and stuff.
And like craft stuff with it. Yeah, like that was really
sounds
exciting.
Horrible.
Right. And it's like the whole game is like you just go and you harvest.
That's cool.
And you craft stuff.
But some people like Minecraft too. And that's fine. Like I'm not shaming on them. Like you're weird, but that's cool if you like Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't get it. That's not my style of game, but there's a lot of people out there that love it. So that's cool.
Right.
So what's the hardest game? What's your answer?
I mean, I would think going into PoE completely blind and stupid would be the hardest game.
Last question we got today comes from Hex. Hex says, have you ever cried watching a movie? Which one?
I wish, man. Honestly, I don't know.
Absolutely, I have.
That I can. Like when I broke up with Lindsay, I had like a watering, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I kind of got excited. Like I kind of got excited, and then it was gone. Yeah.
So wait. So did a tear come down or no?
No. But like there was moisture.
Like your vision got cloudy?
Yeah. I was like, oh my god. And it's like, but there was that like immediate like, am I actually gonna like, is this gonna happen? Like, oh my god, I haven't cried in like 30, 40 years. Like, this is amazing. And then like it was gone. It was like the sadness.
Something's wrong with you, man. Yeah. So ladder 49. Ladder 49 definitely hit me in the feels, man. I cried like a baby. If you don't know what it is, like you'll have to watch it. I don't want to spoil it, but go look up ladder 49. And then I don't know. Yeah, man. There's been a couple. I can think of. I'm embarrassed to admit some of them, to be honest with you.
I feel like I want to seem like I'm a robot. Like when I watch a sad movie, something sad happens. Like I have a feeling, and I like feel bad or feel sad. It happens. I just don't. Have the.
I got like I got like watery eyes when I saw the Fast and Furious scene where they tributed Paul Walker at the end, and they like had him in the car like driving off and shit, and I'm just like, damn, dude. I think to me, I relate to like when that, because I remember thinking when that scene happened, I remember thinking like he's got a daughter and shit, and like so to me, I think I take it contextually outside of the movie. I was like, dude, could you imagine like your dad dying as you're like 13, 14 years, like that would suck, So I think about things different, but
sure,
but yeah, there's a lot of movies where I've been like, shit, dude, you know what I mean? So. That's it. That's all the questions. Fluff is a robot. He doesn't cry. And
what is moisture?
I'm a big softie. So yeah. He's like, I almost cried when it broke up.
Yeah.
I was excited. Oh my god.
But it was like a good, because it was like, oh, I'm sad. And then I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. And then like I was not
like,
sad
I don't
anymore.
Want to be with you anymore. Oh my god, am I gonna cry? Yes. And she's like, wait, what? So.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the questions we had. Thanks for tuning in for episode 154. If you guys want to catch more of me, you can catch me on twitch.tv/ThaPChild streaming World of Warcraft like a madman. And we'll be going live for the Diablo 3 season launch. I guess we're playing hardcores this season.
Yeah. Figure it out.
So
do this stuff.
We'll be on doing that. And you can catch Fluff at
Lord_Fluffy or double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you guys next week. Is it Thursday next week? So it's going to be the day before the season week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thursdays.
Okay.
Forever.
Not forever.
For life.
See you guys. Peace.
Peace.